It's 6 o'clock. I'll call our meeting to order. If you would stand for our pledge and moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up on our agenda is public input, and I don't think we have any public input tonight. So we move on to approving our agenda. Do we have a motion that we approve tonight's agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve, amend the agenda tonight to include items, gym flooring, gym bathrooms, and times of meeting and policies that was included in my email on Monday, 11/23, or 11/13/23.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda, and you heard the reasons for amending the agenda. Do we have a second that we amend the agenda?
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
I have discussion. Cody, what is this?
I sent out the email saying it,
Probably didn't.
I sent it out last week.
Okay,
I asked that we be put on the agenda, the gym floor and the bathrooms. I went to the cow patty bingo, and then I went up to the gym, and I was greeted by someone, and they asked me to look at something. I went down there. The bathroom, toilets, they're terrible. They've got to be replaced. I think that needs to be done before basketball season, which starts next week. And the gym floor, it needs a clear coat on it. I ain't asking it to be done immediately, but I think it definitely needs to be on there. And the thing with the times of the meeting, I sent a picture out to everybody, the board members and Dr. Crockett and Mr. Price. I think we need to discuss that because we've been having meetings way earlier, and then you had 2 different policies, and we've been having them way earlier. I think we need to set a time and make it convenient where everybody can be here.
Okay. I think Ms. Sprouse did address the gym floors and also the updated of the policies that were online. That has been updated, and also she sent an email back to everybody saying that the gym floor that Chad Roper was getting waiting on the quotes to come in on that.
It's already scheduled.
It's already scheduled now.
It's already scheduled.
the discussion is who has the right to remove an agenda item. If it's on the board, if a board member makes a request, no one has the right to remove it. It must appear on the agenda, and it's in Robert's rules. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
Okay.
it's just stuff that's being on, this stuff that needs to be put on the agenda to be for discussion.
That's
And I
right.
tell you what, I know somebody made a comment that the bathroom toilet seats are fine. If y'all think they're fine, I would love for everybody to walk down there and look at it and tell me if you think it's fine after you look at it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we approve and amend the agenda. Is there any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of approving and amending the agenda, please raise your right hand. All right. All against?
Against, Mr. McDavid, he said against.
Oh, against, I'm sorry.
Good. So, all right. So, the agenda is amended, so we'll add those items to our discussion items.
And I have an agenda amendment as well. I requested to be on the agenda. I was requested to all people to be on the agenda, but I was not put back on. So I would submit that I respectfully make a motion to amend the agenda in order to request the executive component, the Board of Trustees, to review and request for changes in the job description of our financial supervisor of District 51. I make the motion to the following items to be addressed by the board. Her job description includes 2 separate job descriptions, and there's not one conjoined one on our job description page. I don't know how many hours you drive, Ms. Wells. I don't know if you're compensated for that, but I do know, I don't know what you agreed to when you took this position. So I'm making an additional motion that the administration explore the possibilities of removing the white buses, which are used for athletic, and allow someone else to handle the scheduling of the white buses. And this is strictly a recommendation as it addressed in our policy. We just make the request, we work as a team, they make an answer. But that way, we're hoping that we get an equitable solution.
Okay. We have a motion to amend the amended agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
And I would say she has 3 job titles, because she drives a bus, then it's over them, and then the other, so.
Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of amending the amended agenda as presented, please raise your right hand. All opposed? All right. That passes, so we will add those to our discussion items. And I guess we would just put those at the bottom after the dropout provision.
Be great. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next up, do we have a motion that we approve our minutes from our regular meeting that was held October 16th, 2023?
I make a motion to approve it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second that motion. Is there any discussion concerning the minutes from our October 16th meeting?
Hold on. No.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from our October 16th, 2023 meeting, please raise your right hand. All right. Ms. Beth.
Okay. Tonight is a very special time to recognize some wonderful work by our students and staff. And it's wonderful that all of you are here to support these wonderful folks and join us in honoring their accomplishments. First of all, Christy Hodge, our band maven, as we sometimes refer to her as. Christy, please stand if you don't mind being recognized. She's a bit shy. But no. Okay, everybody laughs because I know it's not true. All right, so she has a wonderful accomplishment along with the staff and for coming in fourth at the state finals. And of all the 1A bands in the state, that is pretty doggone good. And I think most everybody here has seen the show, and it just basically moved me to tears sometimes. And I told you at the band banquet on Friday night that I'm so happy that you saved the best for my last as superintendent. And I thank you for all the wonderful work that you have done, as well as the folks who help you and our students and parents. Oh my word, this has got to be like the biggest contingent of, what is the word I'm trying to say? Contingent of parents that we have here in support of an activity, and from building props to supplying snacks and preparing banquets and, I don't know, fixing boo-boos and whatever is needed. So thank you so much for your work, and would you care to introduce some of your
Oh my
folks who you
gosh,
brought
like
tonight?
all of
Your
these people
students
are
that-
here.
Yeah.
Well, there's the rock star beside me. This is Chandler Watson, who's our assistant band director. She teaches at the primary school and does some band classes at the middle
that's
school.
fantastic.
She's a rock star, and the kids love her. She's awesome. We had 8 staff members this year with us. I didn't know how much room we had tonight for everybody to come. This is Paris Turman. She was our color guard captain. Over there, Wesley was our percussion captain. Then Terry Taylor and Paula and Travis isn't here, but God, y'all, Travis. He and Joseph and Mr. Holloway built all the props, and they were just I don't know what diesel fuel must have cost them this season to go all over the state with three 3
A mortgage.
trailers. I mean, we were like, y'all, it won't fit in two. It won't, we can't fit this many people and all this equipment in two things. So, then the Dohertys, Kathy was in charge of our food and she fed them every week and she worked that around. And then we have 2 of our board members. This is Roxanne Spray, who serves as our treasurer, and she's also the librarian at the high school, and she's a rock star too. And Sabrina Hodges is here, and she's our Booster Club vice president, and Wesley's mom. Teresa Thompson's our president, and Paula serves on the board also as our secretary. So it takes a whole village, and ours is enormous, and
It's a good
I
one.
just show up and wave a stick, but they make all the magic happen. So I could not do it without all of them. They're awesome, and I appreciate everything. All the kids. The kids were fun to hang out with this year. It was fun to be around kids. You know, they're awesome. We took them to the beach every night, did not have any problems. Swept the contest, took all the trophies. It was great. We loved it. It was fun. So thanks for having us here tonight.
We're gonna do one standing ovation for the 2 groups that are being recognized tonight, so hold your applause, please. Jeremiah Boyd, please stand. Jeremiah is a new teacher with us this year, a rock star math teacher, I might add.
Yep.
And he's from over the way in a small little town of due east or something like that. Anyway.
A bad word.
So, anyway, we appreciate you, and he did wonderful things with our cross-country team this year,
It's awesome.
taking the boys and the girls to state finals for the first time. Would you care to comment about your year?
Yeah,
So
we had
far.
some school records broken. For the first time ever, we had a whole girls team and a boys team at the same time. I think our girls had, I want to say 6 of the top 10 fastest times ever at Marshall's. The boys had 3 of the top 10. I've got some top 5 runners here. Braxton has a school record. You're not far behind it at all. These are my team captains. I'm really proud of them. The boys placed 9th at the state championships, which is their first ever top 10 appearance, as far as I know. It was a really good year. We had some all-region performances. I'm very, very proud of them. They worked hard for it. You wanna stand
Thank
up?
you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Both of you pour so much of yourself, your heart into our kids. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you, and we give you a stand.
That's awesome. Awesome.
If anybody would like to leave, now would be a good time, but you're welcome to stay for the entire meeting. That is perfectly fine. Board members can stay. No, board members can stay. All right, we'll move down to our next item of business, and that is the athletic department, and that is track and field.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's good to see you. Good to see everybody here. I'd like just to echo the positive comments that were made with our band and with our cross-country, just a very successful year. During our last board meeting, we talked, I think it was the 16th, we talked a little bit about the possibility of track and field. And there were some questions, some very valid questions that were raised. The 2 major questions that were raised was, what was the interest level of our students? And that was very, very important. So we had gathered that information. And the second important question was, how would that kind of interfere potentially with other spring sports, specifically soccer, and how that would work. And so I'd like to be able to address those 2 questions, and also the funding of how that would be potentially, governed and things like that. And so with that, I'd like to just have Coach Boyd share just really quickly about this initial year on cross country, and also what the interest that he was able to gather from both the middle school and the high school. And so Coach Boyd's going to help tag team this one.
So thank y'all again for having me. I'll be as quick as I can. So cross country, we had a fantastic year. What shocked me the most, I would say, is the parent support. So we've had a lot of parent support. I've been really excited. People want to see these kids out doing stuff, and cross country provides a good outlet for a lot of our kids. Let's see. I went to, when I was asked to do interest meetings, I went to both the middle school and the high school. That's where you see in this chart here. Those are the numbers we're looking at. Around 50 kids. And after the interest meeting, every day after that, I had several kids that would come to me and say, Coach Boyd, when are we gonna have a track team? And I would say, I don't know. Just hang tight, and we'll talk when the time comes. So these kids are excited. This is something they really are interested in as an outlet, and I think it provides a lot of different athletes, a lot of variety for people to choose. I would say what was interesting to me is that we have girls and boys almost in exactly even numbers that are coming out to this. And it's worth noting that there's no minimum. We can have one athlete that makes a track team. 100 athletes also makes a track team, right? So we can have as many or as little as come out, and that's still okay. Let's see, anything else I want to say? I would say the reason why I'm making this request is because this is what I do. When I was in high school, I won 2 state championships over at Dixie. We ran on that dirt strip. We found a way to be successful. I went to college, did D1 track and field for 3 years, and now I'm back here, and I feel like this is one of the best ways that I can really minister to children. So that's the reason why I'm making this request. I think that overall it'd be a great thing for this community and for this district. If there's anything that I'm missing.
That was great, thanks, I appreciate it. So there was a total of, we asked the students, shared a little bit, because track and field's new to me, shared with them, hey, this is what track and field really is. These are the events, and so it's not just like, yeah, I'll sign up and have no idea what it was. So we tried to put a good effort to share that, and so kids were knowing what they were be signing up for. But there was 25 boys that indicated that was something that they wanted to do from 7th grade through 12th grade, and there was 22 girls that indicated that their interest in participating in track, and so that was encouraging to see that. And some of them are athletes that are not involved in anything else, or maybe even some that are venturing into athletics for the very first time. So that was encouraging. The second thing was the impact on other potential sports. And so our athletic handbook states that any athlete that does desire to participate in 2 sports is able to do so. And so they want to be able to reach out to the athletic director and have a meeting with the 2 coaches, and to be able to declare a priority sport. And then the coaches can work together to try to see if there's a way that they can fit that schedule to be supportive of both, if that is possible. I had spoke with Coach Boyd, who's in support of that. Katrina Free is also a soccer coach she's at the middle school, but will be the varsity soccer coach at this point. And along with Coach Roper as well. And so we tried to explore that avenue. And then the other thing is a lot of the cost that's associated with track and field, because it can be costly, is we're fortunate that it's like Team Boyd's, you know the Boyds in Due West, they have a lot of equipment. They've done this for many, many years. And so a lot of the things that we would be requesting to use would be something that they would be donating for the track to use. Oh, I think your flashlight's on. And so,
It's kind of bright.
but that's kind of where we are with our track. If there's any questions for Coach Boyd or for me, we'll be glad to answer it, but just wanted to give you an update from where we were last month.
Thank you, both of you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for
I-
either one of them?
I think that nobody could deny that it is a great program. And I had gone on record as saying that I have full support of this, but the question is, how will you transport them? We've already run into that problem, and I know I've been told since I've worked in this district 20 years that we're gonna have the number of CDLs, and we don't seem to have them. So I think that if you could get the infrastructure in place, that would eliminate one big stumbling block. And the other that's really been addressed is the fact that you work together through your AD. And did I hear you say we don't have a soccer coach,
No, Katrina Free is our soccer coach.
varsity and
I believe so. I'm sorry, I don't know what the middle school, but I believe she is. I'll have to find out and double check
Because
that.
if those schedules have been set, it can decimate that program. And I think that's really we made a commitment to them. And that would be a real concern of mine. Now, I might be way off base because I'm not on that end of it, but those were my two concerns. Would we hurt an existing program and remove a child, or not a child, I'm sorry, a young adult from a sport that they wanted to play in? And do we have the physical capabilities to move these students when they travel? And I think what is the financial investment?
The financial investment is, we estimated, for the number of athletes and for the jerseys and all of that, would look around $6,000. And so, we also we reached out to, the Athletic Association, who is in favor of offsetting some of those
Yeah.
costs, especially for jerseys. And so that was, extremely encouraging. They said that the track and field jerseys could also be used for cross-country.
Yeah.
And so that was
Sure can.
because they're gonna be needing some new uniforms, so that, getting them early instead of the traditional cross-country season, that might be beneficial. Now, Coach Boyd is in the process of earning his CDL.
Oh,
If
that's
gonna help.
great.
So he's
Thank
went
you,
through the
Coach Boyd.
state class
Yep.
and is on his way of earning that. Got a little ways to go, but it's
Yep.
very doable to do it.
It's very doable. And I think those were the legitimate, not that the program isn't legitimate, but those were the things that surfaced. A parent had approached us about, afraid that the soccer program would go away. And then another one contacted me at home that said, how can you afford that? That is not something I address with anybody. That they need to come to the board and state their feelings on that. But it sounds like we're in a doable situation to me, if we can get those component pieces in there.
Any other comments?
I guess the only thing, she hit on the transportation, that was a big thing for me with the football, volleyball game that kinda overlapped, and the parents had to take kids to volleyball, that wasn't a good look for me, in my opinion. The other thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I overlooked it, the first I heard about it was October. My biggest question, other than the transportation, is why is it being rushed? Like, you when you rush through something, I feel like you make mistakes. And I'm all for it. I just think there should be a little more thought process put in it, a little more. Was it October when it was first brought? To my knowledge, that's when it was first brought to my attention.
It was, and that's a very valid point. We don't wanna rush everything, right? The idea though it can be viewed that way, and the other side is,
Yeah.
we don't wanna promise kids anything if we don't have approval for it. Like, we don't wanna say, hey kids, who's ready for track and field, you wanna do it? And then it not be there. We kinda wanted to have that sense from a board that would be something that would be supportive, and then to ask kids to see if that's something they would be interested in doing. So it works both ways. That's a hard spot to be in. If you could do both at the same time, that'd be great.
And I think there is support. And I bet you've got a high percentage of carryover from your cross-country into track and field.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that would be great. And I love track and field. And I just didn't want us to get in a position where we couldn't get our students where they needed to be on an event day. That's heartbreaking to me. Yeah, you've been there.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, I know we got Coach Wooten, the only CDL driver I know that does athletic. Do we have any other drivers that even volunteers or does anything with CDLs? If you approve it, the transportation thing is the biggest problem to me. Y'all answered all my questions, but the transportation thing, that to me, that's a huge issue. So do we have somebody where if, say, the soccer team's got a game up in Greenville, and then there's a game for them somewhere else, that's my question. Do we have another driver? Because, me personally, I think we should have 3 to 4 CDL drivers for sporting events.
We have several in the pipeline. They did the class back in, August, something like that, for all the coaches, and we're waiting for the coaches to
That's
complete it.
That's
So
great.
that was the attempt, as you said,
Yeah.
to make that supply be available when needed. It just takes time to get that
Oh, I
license, to get it completed.
I understand
Coach
that.
Boyd was in that class, and he's still, it's just a matter of step by step, and, you know, I feel certain that they're gonna do it, but.
If I could add, I think Coach Boyd is further along than any other person that took the class. That
Way to go,
he is dedicated to doing what he needs to do to make sure that it's a successful.
And I hope you don't hear this as non-supportive. We just want the pieces in place so that you're gonna be
Absolutely,
successful.
you can't have a team without all the things required.
All the components first, they have to come together. We want our students to be successful. It's the greatest sport, and I don't know why every athletic sport is not running cross-country in their off-season. I mean, it's the greatest sport out there, and so is track and field. My daughter just ran the New York City Marathon, so I love this stuff. So I hope that's where I wanna say I'm supportive. And what is your target date? What are you looking at, sir?
In terms of like start time?
Yep.
So the season typically begins, middle of February and would run all the way into, like late April. If you qualify through, then your, last race would be, early May.
But this February, we would not have the CDLs, am I hearing that?
Coach Boyd would.
Yeah.
As-
So you have yours?
I don't have one yet.
Okay, that's,
I'm in progress. I would expect to have it done by probably middle of January would be my expectation, but I don't know all this. I think I'm there. I'm getting
I
close.
think that's what, and that's just all we're waiting for, is to see that the structure is in place and it's fully supported. Because we want you to be successful and we want you to run.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, next up, streaming, Mr. Armstrong.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Some of you have met me not, I'm Mike Armstrong, I'm the IT director here at Ware Shoals. First off, I want to say thank you for the new generator that just got installed last week. I can now sleep soundly at night. And thank you for the board streaming equipment we have in here. As many of you know, state law was passed a year or two ago that states we have to stream board meetings by summer 2024. So this meeting, as we sit here, is being streamed on YouTube. You're not getting out of the shot, there's no point in that. You
Oh, I
get it.
had screamed. Right now, we're streaming these meetings to YouTube, and we can post a link to those meetings on, tomorrow or the next day on our school website and on Facebook for those who want to go back and watch it later on if they missed the live stream. We're also recording. If we need to put that somewhere for safekeeping, we can do that. That's y'all's prerogative. One question I have is for executive sessions, in hopes not to have a hot mic and have a mistake happen. I'm gonna ask that you all move to the PD room next door, if that's not too much to ask. In light of technical difficulties, human errors, I would hate to have a mistake show up online you can't get rid of. With all that being said, this training project has been a learning experience. We're going to keep learning as we go, try to improve the best we can. We also would like to have a similar setup like this in the auditorium. Right now, if we have to stream an event such as the Hall of Fame or any other event, we're doing that from a cell phone, and the audio quality is just not there.
Yeah.
So we would like to get a similar setup, either one camera or two cameras. I think proposals are in your notebooks there. Single camera, we would have joystick control. We could do pan, tilt, zoom, very much like this. But for a viewer, that gets kind of stagnant. They get kind of bored watching that one zoom. So we would like to put a two-camera system in if possible, so we can have alternate angles. But that's completely dependent upon the funding, which we're asking you all for special permission to do that project.
I hope we never have to go inside for another graduation, because I love the outside, but I think it would be great to have that kind of reception in there.
On that fee, the different ones, the basic, the plus, and the premiums, that's every year after you buy the equipment.
That's just his maintenance charges if you choose to go that route. So far, we have not. Haynes has done several projects for us here. This project, he installed a system, softball field, and he improved the system in the gym, and he also tweaked one of the football field. Those are just one-time costs that we pay to get those systems up to date. If we choose to go maintenance plan, we can. Right now, we have not. So if we need him, we call him back and pay whatever fee.
Right. So in your opinion, there's no need to do any of that maintenance? That's
At
stuff
this
you
point,
can tackle?
At this point, I don't think so. Russ is usually very, agreeable to take my phone calls and walk me through things if I need to. But if the equipment gets older, we start experiencing more trouble, it might be more cost effective to go that route, but right now, I don't see that.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions, Mr. Armstrong?
Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to Jim Thorpe.
Okay, we have dropout prevention plan first.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I did say dropout prevention, Mrs. Tyre Campbell, sorry.
Hi. So, if you remember during the board walkthroughs, we talked about a lot of our data the first 9 weeks and how here at the high school we're being very intentional at looking at individual students, not just numbers, but who are these kids? And we really focused on our passage and failure rate from the first 9 weeks, and we're continuing to do that. I will say that our passage rate has dipped some into the second 9 weeks. We do fully believe that those will come back up as we get closer to the end of the 9 weeks and report cards and remediation. But as of right now, we wanted to look at that bottom 18% that we talked about, who aren't passing and who haven't passed traditionally. So, this is our team, Ms. Campbell, the school counselor, Ms. Harris is an English teacher here, excuse me, Ms. Cromer is a special ed teacher, and myself. We attended the Dropout Prevention Institute several months ago. I don't even know what month that was. September, back in September, and we were charged with coming up with a plan, actionable goals on how to address dropout prevention here at Ware Shoals High School. This was not the first time. We started this years ago. I remember very few of y'all were even here then. 2014. 2014. We worked with the Dropout Prevention, Ms. McNeil, you were here then, I'm sure, coalition then, and they gave us strategies. So we're just looking at different strategies now. So, thank you, ma'am. Okay. Ms. Cromer.
So our destination graduation and beyond, this is definitely where we're focusing on getting these kids to want to be here more than anything, and hope that they'll continue to reach out to us as faculty and staff, and just to buy into, I want to graduate and make bigger and better things. So the purpose, why do we need to increase our graduation rate? Definitely for jobs. I think we all would love to see Ware Shoals even flourish and blossom even more than it already is, and create new jobs that are here. But how much better would it be to have our own family as part of those businesses? And it's what we as faculty and staff, it's our purpose, it's our job, and I would say for all of us that we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love it. And so it's got to be a passion, and we're trying to instill that into all of our teachers and everyone. Our report card, of course, for the state, that's our accountability piece here. We all want our students to do great, but we also want our school to look great too, right? And so those numbers definitely show, and so if we can keep the kids encouraged and want to be successful, then it works for everybody. So the impact on individual students, their families, and the community. So with this dropout rate, I overheard a student not too long ago speaking to a parent on the phone, and it was actually his grandparent, and he said, I've got to be here at school right now. I can't leave because I'm going to be the first one in my family to graduate.
Oh, man.
I heard that with my own ears as I was monitoring the phone call that had to be taken at that time. And that's what we're here for. That's what it's all about. We've got to help these guys get there. So, all right, dropouts aren't qualified or eligible for 90% of all jobs. Okay, they can go to Burger King, what have you, but we want them to be able to have successful jobs that they feel like they love, like I do. I want them to be able to go out and say, I want to go to work every day. I don't want to just call in sick because I don't feel like going to work. But, so the kids that don't finish, or the students that don't finish, it actually impacts our community. They say, research has proven that it costs the community at least $1 million per student if they don't finish high school. As we all know, you know, state benefits are there, but the community ends up having to take the slack. And, so we want to make sure that these guys are really, they're ready, college and career ready, and just to be successful citizens, so. And that's me.
So when we started looking at who are our dropouts here at Ware Shoals, Ms. Campbell got out her notebook, we started writing down names, you know, who's not here with us anymore. So in the 2021-22 school year, we had 14 dropouts, right? 4 of them were 9th graders, 5 of them were 10th graders, 2 were 11th graders, and 3 were seniors. It's tough. No, I'm sorry, that's good. 3 are seniors. 3 were seniors. In 2022-23 school year, which was last year, we had 8 dropouts. 5 were 9th graders and 3 were 10th graders. So you can see we've really been working hard with those seniors, dragging them, kicking and screaming across the finish line. All right. And then this year so far, we've had 4. 1 was a 9th grader, 2 were 10th graders, and 1 was an 11th grader. So we looked at those students and we thought, what's going to impact those kids? You know, we don't just want some strategy that's a dropout prevention strategy that we implement, but what would have made a difference to those kids? So there are, the Dropout Prevention Center does list 15 effective strategies. Leadership, they're in strands. So leadership, learning accelerators, success for all. One of the big things that we focused on back in 2014 was that systemic approach. The whole community buys in. Your bus driver, Reverend Davis, bus 8, we graduate. That's where that came from. Okay, so we really started looking at ours, and we said that, next one, that under the strand of outreach, that mentoring program we feel like would best target our students. Do our students have adults that are solely giving to them and letting them know that they are cared about, that they are checked on, that they are providing support to those, oh gosh, I think I'm getting into somebody else's side. Providing support to those students, helping them develop goals, helping them figure out what steps do I need to move on. So I'm gonna be quiet now, but the mentoring, Ms. Campbell, what does mentoring look like?
Okay, so at the Dropout Prevention Institute, we were tasked to set like measurable goals that we could evaluate, we could track progress, we could see how things were going. So we developed and implemented a mentoring program for all students that may be struggling, not just academically, but maybe it's with attendance, maybe it's with social issues, or there's so many different things that go into dropping out. It's not just, oh, one thing happens and I'm dropping out. There's so much more to it. So we were looking at these set students, our mentees, and the way that we were going to evaluate it was to, we're going to know our strategy was implemented when our mentors are connected with our students, with our mentees. And we're going to have them establish weekly connections. We developed a log where they can type in notes. It includes SMART goals, it includes their strengths, their likes, sports they play, and then kind of a weekly check off as grades, attendance, how are we in that SMART goal, or like progressing towards that? Are we, where are we with that? And then we said we'll know our objective was achieved when grades and their performance increase. And for reporting results, so our mentors, again, will do log each thing weekly, and we can, ask for that information just to see how things are going. But we didn't want to create more work for some of our teachers who ask. We're not doing anything we don't already do. The only 3 things I could really think of that we wanted to hone in on is that we were going to be intentional with this. consistent, the weekly basis, and then relationship focused. So those were three things that for me were, what we really had to drive pretty hard. These are our mentors. So we have, I think, about 18 of them. This is a totally volunteer basis. So you notice we have teachers, but we also have like the interim AD, we have Miss Wagner, we have all subs, long-term subs. So when people started hearing about it, they started pitching in and were like, yeah, I'll take 1 or 2. So all of these up here have anywhere from maybe 2 to 4 mentees that they are, keeping tabs on. So we have a total of 51 students right now, and I know of a few that we could probably add to this list. But as it stands, this is kind of who we have working with our mentees. And yeah, it's been good so far. So I know, well, I don't want to take your part, but
You can go right ahead.
You'll volunteer to give it up for each other.
Just keep talking.
yes, good, thank you. And if you're interested in being a mentor, please let me know. I teach her gladly. And so we even have teachers that don't teach a student, that just randomly picked a student. And so for those, they might ask for a copy of their schedule, when to pull them, when would they be available, what do their grades look like right now? So we kind of pitch in and kind of help give them that information so they can meet with them and just be most effective. And I think with the meetings that we've already had for some of ours, come on up here.
Yeah.
It's your turn. Just some success stories so far.
I won't read these to you because you can do that, but I can tell you I'm adopted, and so to be chosen matters. And these kids were chosen, and so when we have conversations with them, their faces light up. And I'm talking, one of mine is a resource kid who's just not having a good year. And his whole demeanor changed when I said, you know what, we got an opportunity to pick students that we wanted to spend more time with and be intentional, and you're one of the people I picked. And just to see their reactions warms our hearts. So everybody wins here. Miss Johnson is mentoring a student that she has taught previously. She doesn't have that student this year, but she has 2 years of relationship already created with this young lady. So she meets with them after school, and that student, 2 out of 3 classes, I think Miss Campbell said, that she has brought up her grades in already. And this is, we started this 2-3 weeks ago. I mean, that's impressive. One of mine, I have 3. Another one of mine said he wouldn't have wanted any other teacher to pick him. So like I said, we win too. Miss Sabatino has a couple of students who she says do not say a peep in her class, but as soon as she sat down with them one-on-one, they could not be quiet because they wanted to talk about their strengths and interests and be seen as human beings and not just students. Miss Campbell has been developing a plan to make sure that one of our students makes their way to graduation because life happens. And a lot of life happens to these teenagers in ways that they're not prepared for. So I'm glad that they have Miss Campbell. The last one. Miss Wagner, she's awesome. She will help anybody. And she has a lot of our kids come through her classroom. And the one that she picked was just like, couldn't believe that he had been chosen. Because these are some of the kids that sometimes I think do fall through the cracks and don't feel like they're seen and recognized. So that's a benefit to them as well. And of course, he almost made her cry. So like I said, two-way street. And then Dr. Sheriff, I got to talk to one of his mentees last week, and when he said that she had been picked, huge smile. So far, just that relationship piece, I think, is making its own difference, but over time, we expect to see more improvement with the attendance, with the grades, and hopefully with discipline as well.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Absolutely great.
We were serious about anybody wanting to join our team. Yes, we can make it work. Yep.
Now, is there teachers from all 3 schools doing it, or just mainly right now the high school and the middle school?
You know, I'd like to say something that I think your stats say really loud and clear. 2021 was COVID. Every barrier that they knew came down. And each year, you've gotten stronger and stronger, which I think is the greatest thing for our students and your input, and I thank you so much.
And a
Thank all
lot
y'all.
of,
No, you good, I said thank all
and a
y'all.
lot of the statistics up there I meant to mention, at least repeated once, if not twice. So some of those 10th or 11th graders had, you know, failed 9th grade or 10th grade or, you know,
Yeah.
so it's just, that's where it really gets tricky.
Yeah.
We can get them on to anticipation.
And you helped them
Catch
see
'em
the
early.
end of the tunnel.
Thank you all. Moving on to our next item,
Great.
can you give a little update on that gym floor and the bathroom, please, ma'am?
Sure. The gym floor, I was made aware that it needed another coat last December, but it was not able to be scheduled in time for basketball and so forth. So, and then in the summer, we had the painting project, so we couldn't get the floor done then. And so it's now scheduled and will be done. I think it's in, Chad's coordinating with schedules, and I think it's gonna be done in like the week after New Year's or something, when there's nobody practicing. So that's done. The toilet seats were replaced last fall. My husband went to the bathroom and told me how awful they looked in the men's bathroom. So the next day, we went down there and looked at them, and they looked awful, so they were replaced. One of the toughest jobs that Chad Roper has ever done here, because he had to saw the bolts off. So he was gonna go back and look at them. I don't know what's happened to them since then, but they were replaced. But they'll be replaced again if they need it.
That's great.
And as, what was the other thing, time of the meeting, there was an old policy online. It was taken off because it was old. Sometimes our website lacks a little bit of oversight, and, you know, I'll take that on. That was a little detail that was overlooked. But the policy that is online in our official board policy manual had the correct policy, and it does list the meeting time correctly as 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And, next up, bus, on our discussion items.
We don't have a job description that combines both jobs, but, I mean, we need multiple job descriptions if we
Oh, now,
address
if
all.
you don't have to address my
all-
request. I'm requesting in December, and I made that clear in the motion, that I was not gonna take time at this meeting. So this is a request to come back and discuss that in December.
Oh, I didn't understand that, I didn't hear
I
December.
didn't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, I can
Okay.
say it
But
again.
let me
That-
just
that's-
say,
okay.
let me just,
Yeah.
just to explain to everybody here, many of us do multiple jobs, and,
Oh, well,
you know.
I've been a
so-
teacher too, I understand
Yeah,
that.
and so if you had job descriptions for everything that everybody does, you know, we'd be inundated with job descriptions. Ms. Wells drives a bus when needed to fill in when someone is absent, and she does it on the clock, when she's on the clock. As, you know, and she has Amy who helps with the white buses, who schedules the white buses. Amy does that.
Now, I hope,
Judy?
and I have some real
I'm just
specific
asking.
things that I would rather request in December. If
Okay,
you'll
well,
please take a
this is
look.
the way that we need to do that. If you will send me
I did, I have it
information
right here.
ahead of time.
Yes.
That will give us time to prepare
And that's-
for the board meeting, so we can have an efficient.
And that's why
effective-
I'm saying now till December, so
Okay,
I,
thank you.
I respect that completely.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that as well.
All right, we'll move on to our first action item, and that is the track and field. Does anybody need any other, comments or discussion regarding the track and field? Before we, take that vote.
Well, I don't want a vote that would indicate that we're not supportive, but because we are, but I just don't see the structure there right now, but I think it will be there. So I don't know what we're voting on.
Whether to go ahead and implement this track and field team. For this upcoming season. Is there any other information that would be needed that would? That anybody else needs? Do we have a motion that we approve, for the track and field, to start up this track and field team? I move that we approve the track and field team for this, upcoming spring season. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? I think that Coach Boyd said he would have his CDL handling the transportation issue. I think the jerseys and all that's been taken care of and the equipment. So I don't see why we would not approve this. Is there any other discussion, questions?
And you can guarantee that it won't interfere with your soccer program?
Well, you don't coach soccer, correct?
Correct.
He don't coach soccer.
Oh, but I mean,
The girl, only the female coaches soccer.
and I guess what I've said is just the CDLs. I have said it, that I'm worried about moving our students. And we don't have them in place right now.
I
And
agree.
if you have a CDL and you don't have a bus, what's gonna happen? I mean, those are the kind of just logistical questions that I don't have an answer to. So it's not that I'm against this program, I want it to be successful. But that was my only,
Yeah, well, I know we have 3 activity buses.
well, it didn't get our girls to the volleyball playoffs. And that was a loss for us. So that's the only thing I'm saying is that I want this to be an established thing that we can count on. And I believe that you are gonna get your CDL. Will the bus be there? We have softball moving, we have baseball moving, we have soccer moving, and now we're gonna add, track and field. And someone said we couldn't use the smaller bus because it was what?
You had to have Class B CDLs.
Do you really?
That's what I was told.
I wouldn't think so, but that's just me.
Somebody, because I think you have to have it because of the passenger endorsement.
I got you.
Because you do have to, any more than 14 or so, you gotta have a passenger endorsement. Is it 14 or 15, Ms. Wells? 15. Okay, I knew it was 14, 15.
For those who are here, if I can just clarify, the bus did not get the girls to the volleyball playoffs, but they did get there. And I just
Well-
don't want people to think that they didn't,
Oh, no,
that they did not.
I didn't mean
were
that
not
at
able to
all.
participate.
Yes,
I just
I-
wanted to clarify that. for the
And I
record, please.
appreciate the clarification, but there was a big outcry, I mean,
Yeah, very
everywhere.
much so on
Well,
Facebook.
exactly,
But, and I
our
agree.
parents thankfully stepped up, and it was not a big issue, because we had plenty of people who stepped up to get them there. And I'm
Are there parents here
thankful for
that have
Yes, ma'am.
any questions
Yes,
about
ma'am.
that, or your students involved in any sports that you want to address, or?
Ms. Tyra had her hand up.
I just wanted, I can't guarantee every time that, that it will not conflict, but I think Mr. Clamp and Mr. Roper worked very hard to make sure that baseball and softball weren't away at the same time, is that correct?
That's the way the region was set up. The non-region set up a little bit different, you just gotta, could be different on that days.
But when I wrote all the games down on my calendar, it was like baseball's home, softball's away. Softball's home, baseball's away. It's kind of the way it flowed, and I thought it was done on purpose.
It sounds pretty good that that's the flow.
Any other questions or
Do
comments
we,
before we vote?
yeah, Ms. Wells, do we have anybody other than Tommy Wooten that's willing to drive to these things? Because me personally, I support it, but until we have CDL on payroll that's willing to do it, I can't see adding something we can't take care of what we got. Personally, that's me.
I have some drivers that do step up and have stepped up. Tiffany Story drove every band competition.
Every week.
Yeah.
I have,
She was fantastic.
you know, Jeff Stevens, who's retired. I have several that are retired and can only make so much, but they do step in when they can.
Yeah.
It's not at every game thing. They, you know, by the time you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't get home until 5 o'clock in the evening. You know, if you go on a game, you get in at 11, 12 o'clock at night, then they gotta get back up at 4 o'clock. So No, I don't have anybody that does every single one of them, but I do have a lot of them, if they're close games, that they will say, I can drive tonight. I have 2 pastors that do Bible study on Tuesdays, so their Tuesdays is absolutely out of the way, but I do have some, no,
Well,
not
it's-
every time.
You said 7
That's
people
good to
were in
know.
the program right now, is that what you said?
7 people went through the
Right.
class
How,
back in August.
how many
Right.
are, where are they? Of that 7?
I have 3 that have gone to get their CDL DOT physicals. They still got to get their, permits
Do we,
and the training.
do we allow the time for them to get that done?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be,
Mr. Boyd went
Friday,
Friday and took,
the tests, yeah, the 4 written tests.
that's great. And what happens after the written test, Mr. Boyd?
As far as I know, after that, I have hours in the bus, and then I actually have to drive, at the DMV with the bus.
That'd be good.
Have you done, did your pre-trip? Like, has anybody went over the pre-trip? The pre-trip's the hardest
Yes,
part of
I've
the
done,
CDL.
several
so-
hours of training for that,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
all of them that have done, all of them that took the classes done the pre-trip, right? Did, no?
How many,
Usually there's anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks of training. And it depends on how quickly they pick up. If they pick up pretty quickly, they can get them in 6 weeks. If they don't pick up as quickly, it's 8 weeks, and we have had people that take longer than that.
that's okay there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? So we've got a motion, we've got a second. We've had discussion. All in favor of approving the track and field team?
I'd like to say one thing before we vote. Coach, I've never heard more glowing reports on an individual than I've heard about you. And that's from some pretty staunch, stiff people.
Appreciate it.
I think you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I want this program to be successful. And I'd like to vote with the contingency that you will be able to drive that bus. Will you accept that kind of a amendment to your, and I think if they were with you, they'd be in the best hands ever. That's all I've ever heard from you and your parents, who are just givers from the day one. So, I mean, so I think that's what, if I knew they were in your care and you were driving that bus, I'd feel totally differently.
That seems reasonable to me. I'm working as fast as I can to get that done. As soon as cross-country ended, that's when I really started accelerating how quickly I'm getting this done. So I've been working through this as fast as I possibly can.
All right, thank you, Coach. All in favor of approving the, adding the track and field team to our athletic program, please raise your right hand.
What?
All in disagreement, please raise your right hand.
I asked for just a contingency on his CDL, which I think is fair. I'd like to amend your request to say that contingent on the completion of your CDL, knowing they'll be in your supervision and you're in control, I would have no problems with this program. I would feel like they'd get where they needed to be. Do I need a second?
Yeah, if you're gonna make a separate motion, you gotta make a separate motion.
I'm amending your motion.
If you're gonna have to have a second then to amend that motion.
Are you willing to withdraw your motion?
I will withdraw my motion.
I will now clarify and add a motion that contingent on the completion of your CDL, that we would be happy to support this track and field. We think it's an honorable and a great thing for all of our students. I think the finances are reasonable, and I think the benefits quadruple it. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
All right, we now have a track and field team added to our athletic program. Congratulations, Coach.
Talk about hammering it out.
We'll move on to our board policy update, and Sprouts, if you read that, I'll get a little bit about that Gavin's Law.
Okay.
Please, ma'am.
Gavin's Law was named after Representative Brandon Guffey's son, Gavin Guffey, because his son, Gavin, committed suicide after he was sexually extorted because someone had some pictures on the phone, and they threatened him that they would be sending them out on the internet if he didn't do certain things or whatever. The child killed himself instead of going to someone that he trusted. It's something that goes on way too often in our society now, people who are taking advantage of our young students, young and it's getting younger. So fortunately, our General Assembly did pass a new law that established sexual extortion and aggravated felony extortion as criminal offenses, and they've set prison sentences for each. So now we are tasked with adopting policy which supports that and providing training for our students and notifying parents of this as well. So our policy, it will be in two places in our policy manual. It will be in the staff section, section G, which is the first policy that you have there for first reading tonight. And then it will also be in section J, which is the second policy that you have for first reading tonight. That's, as I said, in the student section. And that outlines the penalties or the punishments that they would face if they actually try to do the same thing to a fellow classmate.
Okay. Ms. Russ, we don't need a second read, we're just gonna adopt this.
We can certainly
Just go ahead.
out and out, since it's state law. I
Yes.
think that's out and
Yes.
out, and we're
Right.
already implementing the education part.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, you heard from Ms. Sprouse about these policies. Do we have a motion that we approve policy GBEBE and JICFB?
I make a motion, we approve the policies.
Have a motion, I will second that motion. Is there any questions, other questions? Not hearing any, all in favor of approving these two policies, please raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Next up is our Christmas bonus for employees. We have two options there. You see the first option, $500. You see the second option, $750, which is, I think, what we did last year for all our employees, and you see the cost of each of those. So do we have a motion for one of those bonus options, Christmas bonus options for all of our employees?
Is this, I got a quick question before we do anything. As far as that's what it's coming out of, correct?
It'll come out of the general fund, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I make a motion, we go with option 2 for all.
Okay, option 2 being $750 for all employees. We have that motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion or comments concerning that? I would like to say thank you all the employees for everything you do for our district. We couldn't do it without anybody that's in place in our district, so thank you so much. It's a small token of the board's appreciation for the hard jobs that you do each and every day, so thank you all very much. Now I ask that all in favor of the $750 bonus for Christmas, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much. And again, thank you all very much for your
Yeah,
hard work.
thank all y'all, appreciate all the hard work y'all do.
And for the benefit of me, the total cost, $117,070.
Yes. And next up is our streaming proposal, and got that in our book. And so we've got a couple options there. And Mr. Armstrong, if you would just touch on that again about our options as far as we don't have to do live, we can do recording and then post it.
The way we're doing it right now with this setup, we can stream it live on YouTube, or we can record and post later, or we can post a link. Like tonight, we'll post a YouTube link on Facebook and the website tomorrow saying, here's the board meeting, so they go back and watch. We have that option. If we do this similar setup, we can do the same thing for programs in the auditorium, if that is Hall of Fame, or if there's a musical production by the choir, or a play by the drama club, we can post all that stuff later on. It kind of opens up a lot of doors, because the audio quality is better. And it's up to you guys as to how much we want to put into it as far as the camera angles. We can start off with a single camera. If you wanna add that later, we can go to the second camera after, down the road. I will say, both these proposals leave out one component, and that's a computer. We need to purchase a computer separately, but we can do that for probably less than $1,000.
And I have a question. If, just say we said, okay, well, we want to delay in here, just post our board meeting the next day, you still have the option to, in the auditorium, stream in the Hall of Fame event and all that live?
Yes, two totally separate systems.
Okay.
It'll be very much like this. There'll be a camera like that mounted up on the balcony level right in front of the sound booth. And if we go to the second camera, we can mount one on the side, so we can get one closer to the speaker or a different camera angle to the stage. Two totally separate systems.
Yes, sir.
I got a question,
Go
if you don't mind. I guess my question would be, graduation, seems like it always rains here on graduation, more times than not. Far as if we do graduation, is it still gonna be an option where parents or family members can go to a classroom and watch, cause there's limited seatings in the auditorium?
Yes, if they're streaming on YouTube, then yes, we can post that link and then we can stream those in the classrooms. Every classroom at the high school has an interactive panel with a computer behind it. We can go through and fire commands we need to, and we can stream that in there.
Yes, sir, thank you very much, appreciate you.
Okay, so we've heard about the cameras. The first thing we need to do is vote on our camera system. Whether we want the one camera system or the two camera system. I think it was 5, and then the two camera system was 10,000, it's double, so we just need to decide. My personal opinion is the cost of everything continues to go up. If we're gonna get it, I would recommend, and you don't wanna break the bank, but that's not gonna break our bank, but I like to be frugal, but go ahead and get it before the cost goes up. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but that's my recommendation.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think if you're gonna go to the,
You're
I
gonna do it.
understand about posting, but for an event like Hall of Fame, you've got your alums in there, you've got graduation, you've got all kind of people. I think you need the two cameras
Yeah. I
in
say-
order to really do what they need to do.
I say go ahead with the two.
Quality, that's it.
So would somebody make a motion that we purchase the two camera system?
I make a motion that we purchase the Haynes Pro 2-camera system.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any other question or discussion about the camera system itself?
Far as, do you got a time frame of when it would be, how far out we're looking at, or?
It's completely dependent upon lead times on components. When we did this system, we waited for probably 2 or 3 months before things got here. I'm hoping that supply chain issue, and over here next term, but it's still there. I'm hoping that's gotten shorter, but I'm not sure of that.
Okay. I'd love to have it by graduation if at all possible, just in case.
I would think that's certainly doable. Now,
Okay.
If we're gonna have a Christmas program, not so much.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess,
It's December the 5th on Tuesday.
I guess my thing is I hope we can have it in and done by graduation.
I would, I think it may be smart on our part as a board if we just put in there maybe not to exceed 15,000. We know we got 1,000 for the computer, and that way we've got a little bit of flexibility if we need anything else to address those
I'm
cameras.
fine with that. Do I need to redo a motion? I make a motion that we approve Haynes Pro, the double camera system, not exceeding $15,000 total.
All right, and do we have a second still?
Second.
All right. All right, all in favor of approving that two-camera system not to exceed the purchase price of 15,000, please raise your right hand. Okay, thank you. And now I guess we need to talk about the streaming. How does the board want to go about this when we streaming our meetings? Do we want to do delayed or live stream as far as our board meetings?
I say live stream and just take executive session over there every time.
Okay. So you.
I make a motion that we do live streams every meeting, that way people can watch from home or they can go back and watch it and have all executive sessions in the room next door.
All right, we've got a motion, and I believe Ms. McDee, you made a second on that, or did you make a second?
I did not yet.
Okay. So we have a motion to do live
Live
stream,
stream.
yes ma'am, for our meetings. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right.
Sorry.
Any comments or questions? Not hearing any, all in favor of live streaming our future board meetings once those camera systems are here, please raise your right hand.
Stop.
All right.
One clarification, that system's in place now, we're being streamed right now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
Starting next meeting.
Yeah, starting the next meeting live though. Yeah. Perfect. All right, next up on our agenda is our finance review. If you have any questions concerning our finance, as always, talk with Wimpy or Ms. Rouse. They'd be glad to talk with you about that. And then last but not least, do I have a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the contract for superintendent-elect?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, all right, we have a motion, I will second that motion. All in favor of going into executive session, please raise your right hand. All right, everybody is free to